This is a teaching for women. We're going to be going over the leaven of Herod. So we're going to start in Mark chapter 8, verse 15. And he charged them, saying, Take heed, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees, and of the leaven of Herod. And they reasoned among themselves, saying, It is because we have no bread. And when Yeshua knew it, he saith unto them, Why reason ye, because you have no bread? Perceive ye not yet, neither understand? Have ye your heart yet hardened? Having eyes, see ye not? And having ears, hear ye not? And do you not remember? When I brake the 5 loaves among 5,000, how many baskets full of fragments took you up? They say unto him, 12. And when the 7 among 4,000, how many baskets full of fragments took you up? And they said, 7. And he said unto them, How is it that you do not understand? Alrighty, so we're focusing on this one, right? Yeshua is telling them, Yeshua is going to give them bread, and we know that bread could represent like doctrine or the word. You see that in John chapter 6, verse 48, and other places, but we won't go there for the sake of the video. But you can go back and read it, so you can establish that idiom with the bread of life being like the knowledge of God and the word of God coming to life, which was Yeshua Messiah. So we're focusing here, right? He's telling you to beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the leaven of Herod. And so leaven really is just doctrine, the doctrine of Herod. So let's go find out what Herod did. So we're going to go to Acts 12, verse 20. And Herod was highly displeased with them of Tyre and Sidon. But they came with one accord to him, and having made Blastus the king's chamberlain their friend, desired peace, because their country was nourished by the king's country. And upon a set day, Herod, arrayed in royal apparel, sat upon his throne and made an oration unto them, or like a speech. And the people gave a shout, saying, It is the voice of a God and not of a man. So Herod is giving this speech, and then the people that are listening, like the people surrounding him, they start to say, oh, this is the voice of a God. Herod has the voice of a God, not of a man. And immediately the angel of the Lord smote him, because he gave not God the glory. And he was eaten of worms and gave up the ghost. So immediately he got eaten by worms because he didn't give God the glory. He allowed the people to worship him, basically. He didn't rebuke them. He didn't tell them, no, don't worship me, right? Worship God only, don't worship man. He let them say that. Maybe because he was seeking the preeminence of men, maybe because he liked that position, whatever it was, he didn't give God the glory. And so here we have this connection of the worms, right? Who ate Herod? Of course, he got smote, but really he was eaten of these worms. So what are these worms? Well, the worm, if you go to Isaiah 41, verse 14, and again, we won't go there for the sake of the video, but if you go look it up, it tells you that there's this person, it's a group of people named Jacob, and Jacob is the worm, right? You have Jacob and Israel. You also see that connection in Joel chapter 2. There's Joel 2 army, which is really the 144,000, also considered Jacob. So spiritually speaking, like, what does this mean? It means that these people, like Herod, the ones that are proud and mighty, the ones that don't give God the glory for what God has given and show them, they get punished by the true servants of God, the ones that do give God the glory, the ones that do obey God, who is Jacob and essentially the 144,000, right? Jacob, ungodliness gets turned away from Jacob in Romans 11. Jacob comes out of the churches, Revelation 18. He is not like the portion of the people that do pagan idolatry like Christmas and Easter. You see this in Jeremiah 10 and Jeremiah, I think it's either 50. I want to say it's 50. So, and this represents this worm that eats up the people that are like Herod. Okay? So now we're going to go further into who Herod is. Let's go to Luke 13, verse 31. The same day there came certain men of the Pharisees, saying unto him, Get thee out and depart hence, for Herod will kill thee. And he said unto them, Go ye and tell that fox, Behold, I cast out devils, and I do cures today and tomorrow, and the third day I shall be perfected. Nevertheless, I must walk today and tomorrow and the day following, for it cannot be that a prophet perish out of Jerusalem. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, which killest the prophets and stonest them that are sent unto thee. How often would I have gathered thy children together, as a hen doth gather her brood under her wings, and ye would not. Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. And verily I say unto you, you shall not see me until the time come when you shall say, Blessed is he that comes in the name of the Lord. Okay? So now Herod is being compared to this fox. Okay? Go ye and tell that fox, I cast out devils, I do cures today. And then it's even talking about further how that fox's house is going to be desolate. Okay, so this connects you back to Ezekiel 13, verse 4. Remember, Herod is this fox. Herod is now being compared to this fox, or the same analogy is being made for them. So Ezekiel 13, verse 4. You could start at the beginning. So I guess I will. And the word of YEHOVAH came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the prophets of Israel that prophesy, and say thou unto them that prophesy out of their own hearts, Hear ye the word of YEHOVAH. Thus saith YEHOVAH God, Woe unto the foolish prophets that follow their own spirit and have seen nothing. Right? Isaiah chapter 30, they cover with the covering, but not of his spirit. And same thing now with the Christian church in modern day, the New Testament, it tells you that there's the spirit of error, which is the Antichrist spirit of error, and there's the spirit of truth. So if you don't have the spirit of truth, which is God's spirit, which you only receive by repenting to the 10 Commandments, John 14, well, by default, you have the spirit of error, the Antichrist spirit of error. Pointing you back to here, people are covering with this covering, but it's not of God's spirit. It's not of YEHOVAH's spirit. It's of the Antichrist spirit of error, also better known as Jesus, aka Baal, Jeremiah 23. Verse 4. O Israel, thy prophets are like the foxes in the deserts. Okay? So again, these foxes, so Herod. So now when you look at the Strongs for deserts, you get H2723, which means desolate land. So it's saying, O Israel, thy prophets are like foxes in the desolate land, which we just read about in Luke 13, how their house was going to become desolate. So now let's go look at foxes, right? Because now we know that they're going to be desolate. They're going to be destroyed. These foxes are going to be destroyed at some point. Revelation 18, verse 2, it tells you, it compares the fox, this unclean animal, to this unclean spirit. Revelation 18 is about the fall of Babylon, Babylon being Mystery Babylon, aka America. The entire world's going to get destroyed, but the harlots of all, is America, Mystery Babylon, because she spread all of her abominations to the rest of the world, right? Woe to the crown of pride, to the drunkards of Ephraim, aka America, Isaiah 8:28. Okay. Verse 2, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and a hateful bird. Okay, so foxes are unclean animals. You go read about that in Leviticus 11 and Deuteronomy 14. So now you equate the foxes being here with these unclean and hateful birds, which are foul spirits. And what did we just read? We just read that they're trying to cover, that they're covering themselves with this spirit, but it's not of him. It's a foul spirit. It's the Antichrist spirit. Okay? So that was from Ezekiel 13. We read foxes. Okay, we connected that to Revelation 18. Now let's connect desert or desolate land to Jeremiah 50, verses 45 to 46. Okay? And just a little blurb here, right? Babylon falls. The foxes are going to fall with Babylon. Again, this desolate land. So then Jeremiah 50, verse 45 to 46 takes us to this desert, this desolate land that we just saw in Luke 13, Ezekiel 13. Jeremiah 50 and 51 is also about the destruction of Babylon. So if you're starting to make the connection, you see that this Herod person, also known as a fox, ends up getting destroyed with Babylon. Babylon gets destroyed along with Herod, aka the foxes that are within Babylon. So verse 45, therefore hear ye the counsel of YEHOVAH, that he hath taken against Babylon, and his purposes, that he hath purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. Okay? At the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved, and the cry is heard among the nations. So, same thing. And even the verse before that. Behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling. This king of Babylon is going to come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan unto the habitation of the strong. But I will make them suddenly run away from her. And who is a chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who is like me? And who will appoint me the time? And who is that shepherd that will stand before me? So he's looking for these right shepherds. Not these foxes, not these King Herods, not these false shepherds that cover with the wrong spirit, that don't give God the glory. He's looking for the shepherds that are going to give him the glory and that are going to fulfill his will, which is that none of Israel should perish and all should come to repentance, that all of Israel should be saved. So now, again, this foxes, right, habitation desolate, where these foxes are going to be, takes us to Lamentations 5, verse 18. Again, focus on foxes and desolate. Because of the mountain of Zion, which is desolate, the foxes walk upon it. Okay, so again, they're walking upon Mystery Babylon that is destroyed, these desolate foxes on this desolate land. This takes you to Matthew 8, verse 20. And Yeshua said unto him, the foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man hath not where to lay his head. So now, holes. You know who the foxes are. You know it's Herod. You know it's these people that are high and mighty, that don't give God the glory, that get destroyed in Mystery Babylon when Mystery Babylon falls. Well, it says they also have holes. This is connecting you to Isaiah 2, verse 19. And this is basically going to tell you about these other traits of the foxes, of what these foxes do. So let's start verse 12, I guess. Or verse 11. Verse 10, sorry. Enter into the rock and hide thee in the dust, for the fear of YEHOVAH and for the glory of his majesty. The lofty looks of man shall be humbled, and the haughtiness of men shall be bowed down, and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day. For the day of YEHOVAH of hosts shall be upon every one that is proud and lofty, and upon every one that is lifted up, and he shall be brought low. And upon all the cedars of Babylon that are high and lifted up, and upon all the oaks of Bashan, and upon all the high mountains, and upon all the hills that are lifted up, and upon every high tower, and upon every fenced wall, and upon all the ships of Tarshish, and upon all pleasant pictures. And the loftiness of man shall be bowed down, right? This proud man is going to be brought down. And the haughtiness of men shall be made low. And YEHOVAH alone shall be exalted in that day. Remember, because in the day of Herod, YEHOVAH wasn't exalted. He wasn't glorified. Herod didn't give him the glory, right? He forgot about YEHOVAH. So now it's saying that in that day, in the day of their visitation, great tribulation, when Mystery Babylon gets destroyed, that's when YEHOVAH will be exalted, because Herod is going to fall. The foxes are going to fall. Verse 18, and the idols he shall utterly abolish, because a lot of these people, foxes and Herods, they do idolatry. They break the covenants of promise. And they shall go into the holes of the rocks and into the caves of the earth for fear of YEHOVAH and for the glory of his majesty when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. Right? They're scared now. They're ashamed. So they're trying to hide from YEHOVAH. They don't want to be seen by him. They don't want to be destroyed. And they're too ashamed to look at him. So that's what the holes of the rock. Now keep that in mind. Now we're going to go to Jeremiah 16, verse 16. Okay, behold, I will send for many fishers, saith Jehovah, and they shall fish them. And after will I send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill and out of the holes of the rocks. So again, this is a future end days prophecy. What's going to happen? Well, Jehovah is going to send for fishers of men, right? Like in the New Testament, which is the people, the servants of God that are keeping the covenants of promise right now, that are keeping the 10 commandments, they're eating biblically clean, and they're fulfilling the royal law. They're looking for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. They're fishing for those people. He's going to send them, and he's going to send them hunters. Now, hunters is this idiom also for the 144,000. And the hunters are going to hunt these foxes from out of the holes of the rocks. Because remember, that's where the foxes are hiding, in the holes of the rocks. Now, finally, let's go to Judges 15:4, because Samson is a representation of this servant of God. So let's just read it. Okay, verse 4. And Samson went and caught 300 foxes, and took firebrands, and turned tail to tail, and put a firebrand in the midst between two tails. And when he had set the brands on fire, he let them go into the standing corn of the Philistines, and burnt up both the shocks and also the standing corn with the vineyards and olives. So what did Samson do? He destroyed the foxes. He burnt them. What happens to Herod? He goes where the worm doesn't die and the fire doesn't quench, and the worms eat him up. The worms being Jacob, the 144,000 are going to eat this Herod up. So you should be asking yourself, are you being like King Herod? Are you being a fox? Or do you have idolatry? Are you breaking the covenants of promise? Do you think you're high and mighty and prideful? Do you forget to give God the glory? Do you forget that God was the one that woke you up if you are in covenant? Do you get shown things and do you just automatically puff yourself up and, oh, look what I found? And are you looking for the next best thing and the next meat in due season instead of focusing on the current meat in due season? And focusing on giving God the glory, because the only reason that you're waking up is because God is allowing you to wake up. Always give YEHOVAH the glory for anything and everything that he shows you, whether it's whether he shows you and you bring it to the table, or whether you can see it and hear it from other people that he shows it to. Always give YEHOVAH the glory. Otherwise, you're going to be like King Herod. Beware of the leaven of Herod. Beware of not giving God the glory. Beware of getting puffed up like Ephraim. Pride goes before, Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before the fall. So think about that, women. If you're in great tribulation right now, you are probably being Herod, a fox, because you forgot to give God the glory for even trying to wake you up with his spirit of grace. And now this is your last act of mercy, being in tribulation. So what you need to do is give God the glory, YEHOVAH, call on him and on his name, and on his son's name, Yeshua. Keep the covenants of promise. Eat biblically clean. No idolatry. No Christmas, Easter, no holidays. Keep the Sabbath, Saturday dawn to Sunday dawn. Eat biblically clean, right? Don't be eating unclean like these foxes. No shrimp, no pig, no lobster. Go read Leviticus 11 and Deuteronomy 14. I'll probably post a video here somewhere. And you have to rebuke sin. You have to rebuke other people that are being like King Herod and being these foxes. And you have to tell them to keep the covenants and to call on YEHOVAH and Yeshua the way that I'm telling you right now. And Deuteronomy 4, if you do this, if you call on their names and you repent, you're not going to be like King Herod. You're going to be these fishers instead. Well, actually, it might be too late for you to be a fisher now. But you're going to be like they once were. You're going to become true servants of God, YEHOVAH, and his son, Yeshua Messiah. And if you're watching this and this is in Great Tribulation, then go to straightasthegate.net for daily Bible studies. And, of course, weekly Saturday Sabbath. And may the grace of God be with you all.